How you doing? This video is for you if you go through the ups and downs of media buying, lead generation, affiliate marketing, no matter what industry you're in. You know, a lot of us experience the ultra highs and ultra lows. And after doing this for 12 years and going through this cycle constantly, putting my brain and body and family through it, there really is a simple solution that doesn't necessarily guarantee success, but it will guarantee more sanity and offer you the feeling of more security and likely allow you to live with more clarity. Because if you're like me, then when things go crappy in your business, in your campaigns, with your clients and your accounts, then that spills over into the rest of your life, right? Hard to be a good dad, good husband, good wife, good partner, good whatever, right? When we're stressed out about something else that's happening over here. So let me get to the point. There's two things that seem to screw us up here. The first thing is we drastically overestimate how long something will do well for, right? So we write a good video script, we launch that ad, we run it, and we believe that we've now hit the jackpot and life will be smooth sailing forever theremore, and we will eventually live on a beach or on a boat and drink margaritas or whatever your dream is, live at a mountaintop or in the woods in a cabin, whatever, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that we only panic when things go to shit, right? So what I mean by that is, and I'm not suggesting you should panic when things are good, but you should be skeptical and you should learn from the cyclical experiences of being a media buyer and a copywriter that things are good for a while, then they go to crap. Then you work, and they're good for a while, then they go to crap. And instead of having this baseline, I should have where we kind of, if this was the line, we go up, down, we want to get this even line here to kind of get our emotional state to a safer, more stable place. So how can we do that? Well, this is for anybody who does almost any type of work online that I'm aware of in terms of generating performance results should follow this. Create yourself, first you have to look at how much you're trying to do, right? Now, I have 5 fingers, that's how many projects I feel like I manage, or how many accounts? 5, no more than that. I learned that from a guy named Jerry West, who's a search engine optimization all-star who, whether he knows it or not, was a mentor to me, a decade ago or so when I was a part of his mastermind, and he told me, he's like, you can only work on 5 projects at a time. And this is when I was a black hat SEO guy trying to spam the Googles of the world. So 5 projects. And you need to create systems around those 5 projects specifically to do with creative. Now, what I mean by that is you need to, whether it's a week, I choose a day, right? But so we got 5 days in a week, I got 5 projects, 1 project for each day. Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes one blows up and there's nothing I can do. But you want to take 1 day for each project and focus on creative for that project. What I mean by that is write new ads, find new images, create new scripts, test new landing pages, test new headlines, whatever it is, right? But the creative aspect of it, because I'm telling you, and I've said it like a gajillion times, so many videos I have here, the creative is what moves the needle, not the microisms. The microisms are essential, but in the 80-20 of creating results for a business on the internet, any type of business, the creative is more important than the targeting. Because the algorithms and all this crap out there will figure out the targeting eventually, even if you're willing to lose money up front. An example of this would be if you want to run a B2B offer. If you run it like broad, it's not going to work. But if you're willing to lose enough money up front, eventually all these algorithms will figure out, oh, they're looking for business owners because that's who converts on this. And it will if you don't go broke, it will eventually get better. But that's just a sidebar to this. Also, I'm not suggesting that you should run B2B broad. I wouldn't do that. Do niche it down. But the point is, I'm babbling here. Creative, 80%, everything else, 20%. 80% of your time on creative, 20% of your time on everything else, right? We really want to go over and spend 20% of our time, 80% of our time in this spot here. Because it's way more, our brains, if you're like me, most of us get off on looking at audience insights, discovering new interests, coming up with unique new headlines and hooks to test on our landing pages, or split tests we could do, or changing the order of our questions in our quizzes or our surveys, or making a multi-step form versus just a solid form. All these things, they serve us and we get payoff from them, right? Because we can complete it really easily. There's a finite endpoint. But I'm telling you, you make more money in this industry and able to deal with the discomfort of figuring out how to create good creative than you do in figuring out how to do this 20% of stuff that's easy payoff. And the reason is because there's way fewer people willing to operate all the time in this 80% than there are willing to operate in this 20%. And I can find people on Fiverr right now that will do that 20% stuff really cheap, right? You don't want to compete with that, because eventually what will happen, well, it may not happen to you, but you're tapped. You're capped on how much you can earn. I'm not saying money is all it's about, but you're capped on how much you can scale if that's what you want to focus on. Unless your biggest scale here, let me get to this point. If you can tell, I never script these things. I just kind of come up with the idea and go with it. Your biggest scale, if that's you, is adding more clients to the mix and doing more of that 20% stuff, right? And the reason is because it's not high enough value to generate colossal amounts of revenue off of, right? We're paid for value, right? So, Jim Rohn once said in a video I listened to, he's a successful, unfortunately no longer with us, a motivational speaker, look him up if you don't know who he is. And he said, people that work at McDonald's may be pissed off that they only get 10, 12, 13, 14 bucks an hour or whatever, depending on what state, province, country you live in, right? But they're taking your order and delivering a hamburger based on a system that's already done. They can't add a lot of value, right? He said, if you smile while you take the trash out, maybe you'll get an extra $1 an hour. There, you're adding some value, right? Same thing goes everywhere still, right? A CEO of a Fortune 500 company can earn $100, $200, $300 million a year because they help that company make, $3 billion or $10 billion or whatever the heck they make. Now, I'm not here to get into an argument on whether, these companies should be allowed to make that much money or not. That's not the point. The point is what I just said, right? We're paid on value. So copy, creative, hooks, that's the biggest value we can bring. Focus 80% of your time on that. Focus on fewer projects than more. And when stuff is good, this is the point of this whole video. I hope you stuck with me 7 minutes to get to the point. If stuff is going good for you, double down on making more creative now, because your head will do much better when you're in a positive state and things are going good and your back is not against the wall than when your back's against the wall, CPAs are up, you're losing money, you're not getting paid, the client's texting you, they're pissed. That is not a place you want to be in, that you have to create your next winning ad, right? Because cortisol is spiked in your body, you're unable to get endorphins, you're at the peak of where a fight or flight mode can kick in our brain, and that's when we got to create the best thing in the world. It's hard to do. Gary Halper tells a story that he did that. That's how he came up with his coat of arms letter. He says that, he had, the lights were off, the water was off. His wife was like, I'm out, you got to solve this. And he sat down at the typewriter and said, if I had a gun to my head and I had to write a successful direct mail piece, what would I do? And that's what he came up with, is what we hear, right? But you don't want to have to put yourself in that position. So more of this video, 8 minutes into it, is minimize number of projects you're working on. Maximize the potential revenue you can make on those projects. Maximize the potential revenue you can make because of the value you add with that 80% creative aspect. And like I've said so many times, focus your energy on getting good at that creative stuff, right? I know it's a real big payoff to be the best ninja statistical analysis person with Facebook ads, YouTube ads, whatever, right? But it's the piece that's easiest to duplicate, right? It's not easy to duplicate once you become really good at making creative for a particular market, right? Okay, hopefully this was helpful, and anyone who's having a tough day, or anyone who's at the peak of something right now, they're at a peak, not a trough, then that's a message to you to double down now and start making more creative and test stuff so that the next winner's right behind the current one. And if you're finding you got a string of losers right now with creative tests, double down. Don't create 2 more, create 20 more. Right? I'm serious. I'm going to do a video here this week. I'm going to show you how many videos I created in August. I'm guessing it was 100 plus, right? That I personally created, wrote the scripts, made the voiceovers, created the videos myself by hand, because Vidnami, my favorite video tool, is gone right now. This is September 2021 for anyone who's watching this right now. So August 2021. And I did them by hand, right? Over 100 of them. And everybody's like, Ian, why don't you outsource that stuff? Why don't you get somebody else to do that? You guys are doing so well. Because that's the part that is most important to me, and that's where I add the most value. I'm not trying to personally systematize my business to become a big agency. I'm really good at doing that part of it, and I'm going to stick to doing that part of it because that's where I add the most value. So we'll see you in the next video, guys. As always, like the video if you enjoyed it. Click subscribe and hit the little bell button if you want to get notified for all the new ones I put out. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye for now.